In a world hungry for change, nonprofit impact matters more than ever. Yet, you're asked to do more with less. What if you could do more with more? That's the promise of Bloomerang, the giving platform built for purpose. Fundraising, CRM, and volunteer insights are integrated to reveal opportunity and generosity so you can make more connections with more funds raised for more impact. Now, that's more like it. Learn how you can do more with more at bloomerang.com. Welcome to the Purpose and Profit Club podcast for nonprofit leaders, mission-driven creatives, and social entrepreneurs. Get ready to stop dreaming and start doing. Here, ideas become action. We prioritize purpose and profit. You ready? Let's go. Welcome back to the Purpose and Profit Club podcast. I'm excited. We have my clients. We have Kim and Wardlow and Penn Street, the executive director and director of development for Aftersight. We've got a threesome today. It's going to be super, super fun. A threefer here. And we're going to dig into, you've had a really amazing campaign. You just ran, and we're going to talk all about that. But first, I would love to just do a round of intros. Tell us about the work you do with Aftersight. And, we were just talking in the green room. You guys are seasoned podcasters. So I want to hear all about the work you do with Aftersight and your podcast. And we can start with you, Kim, and then we'll move over to Penn.
Okay. Well, I've been with Aftersight for a long time. So I've done a lot of different things at Aftersight. But the work we do, working with folks who are blind, low vision, deafblind, to be able to provide access to news, information, entertainment. And that happens in a couple ways. Our traditional services, from when it started in 1990, was having volunteers read and record audio editions of publications. So newspapers, magazines, grocery ads, all those kind of mundane, but important day-to-day things so people know what's happening in their community. And then over time, as that has changed and it's continuing to evolve, and we're continuing to evolve that part of our service as well. But we started the original podcast. So as you said, we both host a podcast. I host one called Navigating Life with Vision Loss. And it's kind of geared towards folks that maybe have recently lost vision, or they've had some vision loss and now that's increased, so they're having to kind of recalculate how they do things. So different series. So we're just finishing up a safety series. We had a series on advocacy earlier in the year. We have Blind Level Tech. That's all things tech. We have Blind Sight, which is mental health. Again, from the lens of, blindness or vision loss. And the host of that is blind himself. So we have that podcast. And then we also, our newest podcast is Code Orange, and that's emergency preparedness. And I'll let Penn tell you about the blind chick, because she is the blind chick. And so she can tell you about that. That's a really fun podcast, I think. And it's our first podcast. And then we do some other services, providing white canes, virtual peer support group, and virtual audio book club. So we try to kind of be that hub for information for folks with vision loss. And we also have on our website podcasts from other third parties like Penny Forward and other podcasts related to the audience we're serving as well. So
yeah. And Kim didn't mention, but she just had her big work anniversary a couple of weeks ago. So she definitely knows Aftersight inside and out. But yeah, so yeah, I'm the host of The Blind Chick, and I'm known on social media as The Blind Chick. And so we are, I think, coming up pretty close to our 200th episode. And I interview people all over the world who are blind or low vision, or work with people who are blind and low vision, and they get to tell their stories. And I always learn way more from them than they ever learn from me. And it's just incredible. And some of them are household names, but many of them are just ordinary people like us, that are just living their life and doing really amazing things. So I love it. I never ever aspired to be a podcast host. And then this last year in January, I did bring on a co-host, and it happens to be my husband. He's kind of my sidekick, and I still sort of carry the show, but it was nice. It is nice having another person on. It can get kind of lonely being the only host on a show. So yeah,
It's nice to riff. Yes.
It is. It is.
Yes. One of the things that, even in just the trajectory of Aftersight, that I think has really impressed me, we're already kind of digging into, is the needs of your audience changed with just technology changing. Even the past year, like I think about the past year, and maybe I started using ChatGPT last year around this time. I don't know, but it is wild. Like, this is my third assistant, Chat. She's my friend. She's helping me out. You know, I'm using her instead of Google. My voice, the way I love to use her is actually voice to text. You know, I really love that component. All that to say, I think it's really, really smart and really interesting too, the way you've scaled up the podcast wing of what you do, the advocacy, the support, the emergency preparedness. Did it start with one podcast and then you realized this has legs, or how did that come about?
Yeah, so it did start with the blind chick, and it originally was called Aftersight when we did our name change and settled on Aftersight. They
stole it from me.
We stole it.
I don't know. The blind chick's pretty cool. So
it is cool. We like it. But it really started with our community. So after I became the director, I'd really wanted to have a program advisory committee that was made up of folks that we're serving. So we have that now, and I think it's in its fourth year. And we went to them and said, okay, you know, yes, we'd like feedback on what we're doing. Is it still relevant to you? Do we need to be doing other things? But what do you need? What's lacking? And what if it didn't have to be something that could be read? And I posed it to them that way because, you know, always before, well, what else can we be reading? But it's like, what if it didn't have to be read? Because we were doing the blind chick, and we'd had a version of that even before Penn was on staff, and that person had left and it kind of had fallen away. It was slightly different than what Penn is doing, but we saw that the blind chick was being well received. And then they started saying, well, you know, there's these things and they're on, yes, we can get on a website, but so many of them aren't friendly, and there's this information and that information. So we started with the blind chick, and then that conversation really created NLVL, Navigating Life with Vision Loss. And when we started, we were doing one topic per month. And this year we've switched because some topics you needed way more than a month to do them justice. And other things, maybe not, you could do in 2-3 weeks. Yeah. So this year we started doing 16-week series so that we take a big overarching topic and then do, you know, the subtopics within that as different episodes. So, and that's worked really, really well. So it really started with getting feedback from the people that we're serving and what they need. And then the very first topic we did coming out of COVID was mental health. And then it was so popular that we quickly spun off that into its own podcast. And so that's really how it started. And then we just, we, you know, meet with them every month and when we have questions and things like that. So, yeah.
I think it's hearing what they want and noticing that it's almost like I'm talking to myself. Yes, Christina, we've come a long way, AI and this and that. However, there's still technology and accessibility gaps. And that's where you saw those gaps and you're like, we're on it. And I love, though, that you're meeting the occasion with the podcasting element. I think it's so cool and it's so smart.
And it's fun.
And it's fun. Exactly. We were talking also in the green room, but it's like, it's low lift. I mean, you're just pressing record, except for the editing, right? That can be a little clunky.
Our podcast producer is there for that. We don't worry about that.
Same. Yes. So you came into the Purpose and Profit Club, my group coaching program. And one of the things I noticed about y'all is you came and you got to work. Like, you got to work And very quickly, you ran your first campaign. So let's dig into that. It was the 20K in 20 days campaign. It was so fun to watch you prepare for that campaign, kick it off, hit your goal early. Walk us through that campaign. Like, what prompted it? Why? Where were you? Let's talk about it. If you're tired of chasing grants and planning galas just to hit these same fundraising numbers year after year, I've got something for you. I'm hosting a free live training called Double Your Donations by December 31st. You'll learn how to raise 2 times more from your laptop. No extra staff, no ad spend, no burnout, no events. I'll show you the modern fast action system bold nonprofits are using right now to break revenue plateaus and finish the year strong. Join me live on October 29th at 1 Eastern. Go to splendidcourses.com/live to save your free spot.
Well, I guess just to kind of set it up, because I'm going to let Penn really talk about the campaign because she's the one who created it. But we had done about a year ago, we had done a course looking at revenue streams. It wasn't shocking to us. We knew this, that the area we'd been really heavily and still are on grants. And so really needed to build up the individual donor base. And then it's like, okay, well, we've confirmed that, but how do we do that? And that's when, I'd gotten an email from you and I sat through a webinar and then we kind of went through that whole process. So we were like ready to go, at that point we're like, okay, we just need to figure out how to do it. We know what we need to do, but how do we do it?
Yeah.
And so then Penn really, took that on for the 2020. So you can talk about that process.
Yeah, Penn, I remember maybe in one of our first calls, me kind of taking your temperature of like, how comfortable are you with asking? How comfortable are you with outreach? How comfortable are you with fundraising? And you're like, yeah, I'm all in. I was like, yeah. Let's go. So I love the energy.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I also, I was probably the biggest doubter coming in. But we had tried, like Kim said, our history with the org, they weren't donors. Like we didn't, Aftersight didn't have a donation. I'm sure you had a donation button, but it was not used very often. And so that was really my main job, is to diversify the, funding streams.
Yeah.
And so, and I did try, the mailings and the email, things like that. But it definitely got people moving. But, we started doing an annual event, and I've done a couple other events, but nothing except for the hike that we do every year, which is sort of our cornerstone community event every year. But besides that, nothing ever sunk in. And I kept hearing from all of my networking partners and it's just, I kept hearing over and over in the development world, things are pivoting. People are they're not giving how they used to. They're not giving where they used to. They're looking for that new thing. And so when Kim brought your program, talked to me about it, I said, well, we need to do something different. So I did put my doubts aside, because you are what you're doing is to me, very cutting edge and very different than any fundraising I've ever done. And so I really had to trust you and trust the process, but the way you do it, it does make it fun. Which is really important to me. Sitting in front of a computer all day.
Yeah.
You'll take the fun wherever you can get it. And so you really help, because yes, I put the bones together, right? But you were the one that put the pretty dress on the top, with your, edit this or tell more of a story or things here and there. And and honestly, again, I was like, I don't know if this is going to work, but I did. I did it. I followed. I did exactly.
You did. You took the feedback.
I checked the boxes, and
yes, you took the feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, and I did when somebody said, "Oh, you should make the picture a little smaller, a little whatever," just little tweaks. But I really do think the whole thing just really shown. And I told Kim, like, even if we just raise a couple thousand, like, I was just like, and then we got the matching gift, which was awesome. That was huge.
That was a big thing, as we had that gift that when we asked if we could use it as a match.
But even with the matching gift, because we've had matching gifts before.
Yes.
And it didn't seem to really matter, or if it did, it wasn't noticeable. But we were getting people calling like, oh, I want to write a check, but I want to make sure that it gets matched. And we've never had that before.
That's
and
like that momentum.
Exactly. People really came out of the woodwork. And then getting our staff and board to ask their friends and family and network partners, which again, that's never been done before. And our board really stepped up, and it was amazing to me. And I was like, it really gave me hope, like, oh my gosh, we can really do this. So now I'm doing our second campaign, and it'll go out in a couple of weeks here, but it's like, I'm excited about it. Like, it got me back to that excitement level of fundraising and realizing that it does still work, and it's still possible. Yeah.
Well, and being able to have scripts, like some of the things we had tried before, certainly we've asked our board when we, Colorado Gives Day, whatever, please share with your contacts. And I think they have, but really having scripts to be able to say, okay, here's what you can say, you can modify it for your own language. And we've done that to a certain extent, but just to have those resources there, and all the resources and the hands-on. I think I don't know how many webinars Penn and I have probably attended between the two of us on some aspect of fundraising, and it's a webinar, and then okay, now go figure it out. And so this has been so much different. Like, we've so loved working with you, because it's so and when I reported back after that first meeting, we had a board meeting that week, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this really is hands-on. Like, we're meeting, we get input from other people that are also doing fundraising. And I think that's been really helpful to us to have that. It's very different from anything we've ever tried before.
Yeah. And having that interaction with other nonprofits around the country has really helped me, because it's like, oh, they're going through the same thing we are, where I don't feel like so isolated, or like even some of your tweaks with some of their mail campaigns. I'm always taking notes, like, even though I'm not doing a mail campaign right at this minute, it helps me, looking forward, how to make it better with Aftersight.
Yeah, I think that even though the cause area is different, the org size is different. Yes. There are these moments and through lines. Your organization is one. Kathy from the Lichen Sclerosis Support Network is one. You both have podcasts, and for you, she's already tapping into sponsorships. But both of you, I'm like, ooh, sponsorships are going to be so good for you. They're going to be so. I mean, you're already doing some of it, but there are these moments where I'm like, ooh, we could use this over here. Let's pull this over here. So you hit your 20K goal. I want to say like 4 or 5 days early, something like that.
We did. And we exceeded it. We exceeded it, which I never saw that coming.
I love it.
And it really was crazy, because we had a couple people, like one was out of town or something. And, and one person was just like, I really like to write a check. I don't like to do things digitally, but it's coming from New York, and I know it's late. It's going to get, but she really wanted it in there, and she knew that it wouldn't be matched because we had already, but we exceeded our goal, and I was just blown away.
What do you think made the difference this time for this campaign?
I think for me, part of it was thinking of it as a whole. I think before it was like like all these parts, where this one, it was looking at it as a whole and then looking at the different parts. and really understanding how they were all connected and kind of the why behind it. Also, I spent a ton of time, preparing those emails way in advance, scheduling them out. And then as the money started coming in, going in and personalizing them, and even our social media posts, he could, the person that was doing that could go in and pull information from those emails. And like, I was super organized. That was part of it.
Yes.
I mean, I felt like I was organized before, but really digging in and like super focused, like, that was extremely helpful. But I honestly think another big deal is you recommending Give Butter, because that just made everything so easy. One, it's accessible because I have extremely low vision, and you did hear my guide dog barking in the background. Sorry. He always likes to chime in. But it was accessible. It was super intuitive. And it was pretty, like you could customize it, but yet the templates were super easy to follow. And
we needed something that was going to be high converting. And right away when you joined, I was like, we got to get you a donation tool. I remember that being like,
that was the first
we're
thing.
not going to be able to go for a drive, and we got to get gas in the tank first, because I don't remember what you were using. But listen, I've said that to other clients before, and they've taken months and months and months to change or make a decision. And the fact that, again, you had that readiness and you're like, and we go. And yeah, I think that the page was very, very easy on your end, which that's great to hear, but like easy for the donors to use and understand the story that we had beautifully created. And so that's all part of it. Right. And I think too, the momentum that people were calling and things like that, again, speaks to they're landing on the page. They're kind of seeing where you are on the mile marker. Are they close to their goal? I want to help, or the match. And that's all part of it. Like that is all part of that, a good, solid donor experience for a campaign. So I think you nailed that.
Yeah. In our match campaign, I think their little, it wasn't a lot, and they wanted to remain anonymous, which at first I was like, oh, I don't know how that's going to go over. But the way it was framed and everything, and the photo that we chose to keep, her anonymous and stuff, like, I think it just, the whole thing came together.
So I want to talk a little bit about what's next for you, like what's next, and maybe to kind of flag that I already had followed a couple of blind and low vision thought leaders and influencers and creators online, and I know we've talked about them. But is a social street team next for you? Is partnering with the advocates and creators online who, like Molly Burke, I know has a book coming out.
Yes.
We've talked a lot about Anthony, one of my favorite. He's just so fun, the blind skateboarder. He's just so like what does that look like for you? Is that next year? Talk me through your vision as you continue in the club.
We definitely, and part of it was you suggesting it, is we actually have some pretty amazing guests.
You do. You're like, actually, we've had them on the podcast, Christina. I'm like, okay, perfect.
I know. But we had never really thought about getting them involved in a big way. And I mean, it was like, oh, you're on a podcast things. Can you please share it?
Right.
It was.
Please share on our social, here's our social media. Please share. But
yeah, but to really get them to, and I did notice recent, like over the last month or so, somebody who I interviewed, I don't know if, I guess I could say his name, Eric Weimer, was the first blind person to summit Mount Everest and the tallest peaks on all continents. And he's done a lot of stuff. He's known me for decades. I even worked for him for a long time, but he never shared, like, it was just, he never shared our stuff. He never shared anything, even me personally, that I wrote. But lately, he has been sharing our posts through Aftersight. He doesn't share all of them. Like, he loves the white cane posts that we do, and he shares those on his. And I didn't ask him to do it. He just did that organically. So I have a feeling like if I actually sat down with him and said, like, if we do a white cane campaign or something that I know specifically that he would really get into, that he would, I think he could become, one part of our street team.
Yeah.
And then, but you were the one that really, like, I don't think, Kim, you even thought of it either. Like, I don't think any of us thought, and that sounds weird now, but
yeah, it does. How do we put together a street team? Who would those people be?
Yeah.
And then as we were doing our campaign and pushing things out and seeing responses, it's like, oh, maybe we already know the people. Yes. We just didn't think of them in that way.
Exactly. And he's doing, what I would call like a lean in moment. He's like sharing and interacting more. And that's like the perfect time to further that relationship.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah. There's so much opportunity, and start with the people start with the people who already have interacted with you in the podcast. I want to talk about white canes, though, for our listeners who might not even know what we're referring to, right? So let's tell us about that. Tell us about the project and maybe even some of the content or what it's for, and give us an overview.
Yeah, I feel like I'm hogging the seat.
No, that's right. You use a white cane. I mean, I can tell people about it, but you use it. So
so the white cane is those white sticks that blind people use. They're not called sticks. They're not called blind sticks. They've been called walking. So I've heard all kinds of crazy things. But they're literally called a white cane. And they've been around for a really, really long time, but it was actually the Lions Clubs and the Lion Club in Peoria, Illinois, that really came up with the whole concept that it should be a white cane, be reflective, and that it's not only a tool for us to be mobility and mobile and to be independent, but it's also a symbol. And it's not a symbol of, oh, you need to come help me because I'm blind. It's a symbol of independence. It's a symbol of getting from point A to point B safely. And so when I came to Aftersight, I was just noticing more and more people, and I had been knowing it for a while, but it really just dawned on me how many people I was running into that were white cane users, that their canes were broken or they were too short for them, or just honestly not a good quality cane. And I mean, I have been sitting on a bus and somebody gets on and they sit up front with me because that's where we sit. And their cane was broken and being, held together by duct tape. And I have a guide dog. But I always carry a folding cane with me always, because you never know, your dog could get sick or whatever. And so I literally pull out my white cane and I give it to them. I have handed out so many white canes that way. And I'm financially in a place I can do that. But with the unemployment rate for the blind and low vision community at over 70%, and that's in a good economy, something like, $75 to $100 to buy a new white cane is out of their reach. And so when I came to Aftersight, I'm still, big in the Lions Clubs, and they had agreed to start a white cane project, the Lions of Colorado, which I love you all. I appreciate you. But they really needed they needed like an overarching umbrella org to, take in the application, like to manage the project. And yes, I could have done it on my own outside of work, but it fit. I mean, that's what we do at Aftersight.
Yeah.
And so I went to Kim and she agreed with it. And, it was
good because, I mean, it's supporting the community we serve, but it was also something where a person might come for a white cane and learn about the other services we provide, where they might not have sought out those other services separately. So it was kind of a win-win that way.
Yeah. So it's just exploded, and we, to the point I'm going to have to maybe go outside of Lions to get funding because there's only so much they'll give. But yeah, it's a really important project for our community, because if you show up at a job interview and your cane is like falling apart, it's just like your clothing, because your cane is part of you. Just like your guide dog. You wouldn't show up with your guide dog all ratty and smelly, right? It's the same thing with the white cane. And it is really beautiful. When we put a brand new white cane in somebody's hands, sometimes it's the first time they've ever had a brand new cane, right? Or it's definitely been years and years and years that I've had them say, "Oh my gosh, I feel like this is my brand new Cadillac," and so the confidence is better, and it's also the right size. I was just about to say that,
like shoulders out kind of moment.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely.
My father-in-law has been having just some mobility issues as he's getting older, and he's been using this one cane, and he's been having a couple of falls with that cane. And one day he came over with that cane, and he's very, very tall. And I was like, this doesn't fit you. You just said it, too short. And also it had, I think, had too much wear. And so like the grippy part of the bottom, was right. Yeah. So like all the things. And I was like, a new cane will be at your door on Monday. And he was like, this is so much better. And so I'm having that moment, but like extrapolating it out, Penn, of what that must look like when you're like, I'm duct taping this, I'm on a fixed income, or like all of the, or it physically doesn't fit me in my size. And
well, and the fear, like, cause I have been,
the fear is real.
I had a big job in Chicago, and silly me, I only took one cane, and it broke when I was there. And I managed to get a hold of an organization that was able to give me one, while I was in Chicago, but it's that panic. So I can't imagine like walking around with a duct tape cane, knowing that any second, if you hit a curb wrong, you're out, right? And it's.
And I think what I want to offer is like, for your organization, for so many organizations who are like, well, we serve this specific audience, and we're also trying to fundraise to this specific audience of the people we serve, sort of like that, right? Because I hear that a lot. I'm thinking about myself, who is on TikTok and watching the content, and it's informational, it's educational. It's like, wow, I didn't know, like Molly will take you to the airport while she's traveling with her dog, but she also will do a white cane kind of reel or TikTok.
Right.
And that is how we bring in new people who aren't blind or low vision, who become advocates, who become donors, who become volunteers, right? It is like part of that bigger thing. And our own curiosity, our own kind of fly on the wall, like we want to peer through too, is the best. It's like, that's the best part of social media that we can use for social good. And that's why I think it's that. I think it's the podcast too, where you're telling these stories, and people who, maybe know somebody who maybe is dealing with vision loss, because that's real as people age, right? That is real. They don't know what they don't know about it. And to start letting them in, I think is a huge part of the success you're having. And then I see in the next 5 to 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So some social street teamers. What else is next for you?
What do you think, Kim?
Well, I know one of the things we've wanted to do, and so we have a couple of campaigns planned yet for this year, but the first of the year, we're going to do a campaign for monthly donors. And so that's something that we've really wanted to get, that recurring revenue that would be so helpful to us, especially as grants are, have declined to not have times of the year where things are, so thin. So I think that, that's there. It's that time of year. So we had our budget committee meeting this morning before this interview. And it was kind of nice to be able to say, okay, well, this is where we're at. And this is, we're projecting and we're being conservative. But I think the success of the 2020 campaign to actually have board members say, okay, but can you get us, numbers on this? Because what if this is wildly successful? Then, and we could do this, then what would that, what are those? So to see kind of that hopefulness of like, well, we have opportunities and we know we have opportunities and for growth, and it would require, more staff and all this. So to be able to feel like, wow, this could be a real possibility that we could really grow. We've been approached to help some other orgs, especially serving our same community, to produce their podcasts, since we have that ability, which would also be a revenue stream for us
Absolutely.
as well. So it's kind of both. It's helping to get information valuable to our community out there, but also would be so we see a lot of opportunity, even as nonprofits are seeing decline in some areas, and there's some things that are scary, but we're also seeing some great opportunities as well. And so I think this is really helping us to say, wow, this can be possible because this is working for us.
Yeah. I love, like, one of the collateral benefits of this success was the board engagement, like the board excitement. The board is now like, this
engaged.
Is fun. Yes. Maybe we can help. And so that's just such a fun collateral effect of all of this. It's really reaffirming to them that fundraising doesn't have to be hard, a slog, terrible, impossible, all of the things. And also kind of reaffirming to them, we can diversify and should diversify beyond grants. And now pushing forward the monthly giving is going to be wonderful. I'm excited for that.
I know we are too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I know Penn already has campaigns planned out. And the next one coming up kind of has a Halloween theme. Yeah. So I think that's really fun.
Yes.
So, so it's great because it's fundraising, but it's also educational. It's also fun for folks. So I think people really, really like that. At least the comments I've gotten, they've really appreciated, like, learning some things along the way.
Absolutely. Well, we ask every guest that comes on the podcast, we ask them to share. We ask them the same question, to share a thought they like to think on purpose. This could be an affirmation, just a motto, maybe a quote that was resonant with you. Would you both share yours with us?
It's hard to kind of think of just one quote, but I do think, when you have those days when everything kind of, like, the analogy of like, wow, I hit every red light on my way somewhere, where you have those days where it just seems like there's one thing after another, that's not the end of the world, but it's just making everything a little bit more difficult. And when I have those days, I think about it, the fact that what we're doing as an organization, it's way bigger than me. And in some ways it's way bigger than us, the impact that we could have. And so it's worth to keep on going, even when it can be
the red lights.
Yep. Even when it can be discouraging, it's like, okay, well, we'll get through this, because then you do have those times when you're like, wow, we exceeded our goal. And, wow, we launched a new podcast, or those kinds of moments, or you get a comment from a listener about how a program was so helpful to them, or the white cane was helpful, or just being able to interact with other people in the peer support group or the book club group. So if you get those comments and you're like, this is why we are doing this. This is why we get up every morning and are doing this. So I think for me, it's just, remembering that this is bigger than the little issues I may be having day to day.
I love it.
That's good. I'm the same way. I don't know one thing, but I'm a big believer in what you put out to the world is what you get, what you receive back. So I have a saying on the Blind Chick. I always wrap up the show with it.
Oh, perfect. Give it.
It's be kind to yourself and find a way to be kind to somebody else this week. It's good for your soul.
That's such a good closer. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, where can everyone follow your work, support your work? Where's the best way to come find you and connect with you?
We're on lots of places now. Obviously, we still have our website, aftersight.org. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. And we've added a couple. We've added Blue Sky and Mastodon recently.
And names of the podcast. So the Blind Chick is one podcast, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And Kim, tell us yours.
Navigating Life with Vision
That's
Loss.
right. Perfect. We'll link to those.
Yeah. Blind Sight, Blind Level Tech, or BLT, as we like to call it for short. And
He likes sandwiches.
Yeah, he does. And he always has like a sandwich of the week. Yeah, so that's been good. Code Orange is our newest podcast.
Amazing.
On emergency preparedness. And Marty, the host, he lived through the fires in California last year as a blind person and said, wow, if I hadn't had sighted people to help me, it was scary. And so that podcast kind of came out of his real life experience. And so we're, and we've been working with folks here locally, emergency preparedness folks here, trying to get words out, to people of how you get prepared. So that's our newest one.
Amazing. I'm just honored to work with you and just cheering on all the work you do. Thank you so much for generously sharing your time and your stories with us.
Absolutely. And thank you for all your support.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, High Achiever. I know your sights are set on ambitious, world-changing goals. In the Purpose and Profit Club group coaching program, you can get the support, motivation, and strategy to accelerate your impact. I like to say it's where the inner work meets big impact and big funding. Go to splendidcourses.com/waitlist and you will be first to be notified when we open up doors, and you'll get special bonuses when you join our waitlist. See you inside.